the spot, news media. We got the latest news, we don't care about the views, we just representing right. Put local news internationally every night. On the spot, wave that Jamaican flag from left to right. Let's get it right, y'all know the type. We ain't dealing with the hype. We make it take flight.
Yeah, man, my viewers and subscribers, what one. A blessed and wonderful Tuesday morning to each and every person out there tuning into On The Spot News Media. Now, my peeps, I don't know how we do it over on this side each and every morning. We have to give thanks and praise to the Most High Creator for the preservation of life, because life is indeed the greatest. So in the morning, my peeps, I have a few stories to share with you, the regular members of Chan Public and also members of the diaspora. So please like the video, share the video, watch the entire vlog so you can get a full understanding and a better appreciation of everything we're going in Jamaica. So watch this now, my peeps. In recent days, we have seen a widespread outcry for the loss of life of one of our nation's most vulnerable. Of course, we're speaking of the 8-year-old girl, Danielle Rowe. Now, On The Spot News Media understands that the police is presently seeking a woman who they have designated as a person of interest in the abduction and slaying of the 8-year-old Danielle Rowe. On The Spot News Media understands that the police have obtained CCTV footage which shows Danielle in the company of a woman along Roosevelt Avenue in the parish of St. Andrew. And sad to say, my peeps, that's the last time the young Danielle Rowe was seen alive before her throat was slashed and she was left for dead along the roadway in that same area. Now, for the first time, the mother of the 8-year-old Danielle Rowe has spoken. She stated that she's puzzled of the motive that anyone could have had that led to the brutal slaying of her child. So in breaking her silence of the loss of life of her child, Danielle's mother is now questioning what made the perpetrator or perpetrators of that wicked and brutal act did that to her 8-year-old child. So we're going to hear from the mother as she states her claim. Listen.
My mind, I don't know, because as I said, I don't like me and nobody in anything, so I don't know where what lead this to happen. I don't know. I always watch news and hear other things happening to other parents. I never expect it will happen to me. I never expect, because when I heard that my daughter went missing, I told, basically walk out of my shoes, go to the school, because I said, no man, this can't. I'm just an officer, alright then. Probably she come home with one of her classmates that will live nearby. But I said, no, she not going to do that because she never do it before. So my head day all over the place. And that's when I heard that she was at the hospital. They say I'm sick. She come, mommy. You alright? And I said, no, I'm not alright. Either she go get the alcohol around my head or my foot, but she try to put me to sleep. That's just her. I wake up or anything, even when I come in from work, she come and she'll kiss me. Even if she asleep and she knows I come in, she said, mommy, you okay? And she kissed me. Because even the same day she went missing, when I take her to school, she kissed me and said, mommy, when I come home, I go do my project, because I had a project doing for her for school, and she kissed me and said, mommy, when I come home, I go finish my project.
That was the voice of Danielle Rowe's mother, the 8-year-old 2-grader who lost her life in such an horrific manner. Now, the head of the St. Catherine South Police Division, Senior Superintendent Christopher Phillips, is calling for security protocols at primary schools across the country to be updated, following last week's brutal slaying of the 8-year-old Brayton Primary and Infant School student Danielle Rowe. So we're going to hear from SSP Phillips as he states that there's a need for an upgraded safety and security policy in our nation's school. Listen.
It is our responsibility to ensure that our nation's children are safe. Hence, as the police, we are committed to working with the Ministry of Education And I am recommending that the Ministry of Education, working closely with the Ministry of Security, spend some time and move quickly to have an updated school safety and security policy that speaks to the modern reality and that which creates standard procedures on school safety and security. I've been going around, in fact, I'm doing a study on it. And I recognize that things are a bit piecemeal, but we need to create a standard. Don't just push this on principals to come up with their own interpretations and ideas, but to create that standard that everybody can be on the same page. I am also imploring all schools in St. Catherine's South, principals, do your best to establish a safety and security committee to meet at least once per quarter to review incidents within your school and to respond to obvious gaps that might be developing within your school as it relates to safety and security. We are committing to have a police officer sit on each of those safety and security committees. And we have recognized that we now have to pay far more attention to our primary schools. We have expended most of our energy focusing on our 8 safe schools. We're now bringing all our schools in that picture to pay more attention to our primary schools.
That was the voice of Senior Superintendent of Police Christopher Phillips, head of the St. Catherine South Police Division. Now, prominent defense attorney King's Counsel Peter Champagne is calling for the death penalty to be invoked on the killer of the 80-year-old Danielle Rowe. We're going to hear from Peter Champagne as he weighs in on this horrific and tragic situation. Listen.
Let me start from the point of view as a defense lawyer. And I am a firm believer in the right to a fair hearing, the right to due process. No doubt about those two things. They must obtain, even in cases such as these. But where you have that being done and the process is exhausted, and at the end of it, you have a conviction still standing in the circumstances of young Miss Rowe's situation, that individual is deserving of the death penalty. As it is now, the common law, the case law, as they refer to it, doesn't make it easy to invoke the death penalty. It is reserved for the worst of the worst cases. So we need to revisit it where it is easy to invoke the death penalty, because I think we have come to a situation where all we have each time when this thing happens, platitudes upon platitude, remonstration and remonstration, and then after 9 days, it's on to the next story. And the time has come for we to, as a nation, say that persons who are convicted of this most horrible crime have forfeited their lives to exist amongst us. And I stand by that. I may be unpopular for saying so, but that is my firm belief.
That was the voice of Peter Champagne, King's Counsel and Defense Attorney. Now, according to the veteran lawyer, the frequency in which children, the elderly, and the homeless and other vulnerable groups' lives have been taken in this country is reason enough for the death penalty to be more readily available in certain circumstances. So now, my peeps, we're going to move on over there in the war-torn, crime-riddled, violence-prone St. James Police Division, where an elderly man was taken out in a hail of bullets and his body set on fire, smack in the heart of its parish capital, Montego Bay. Boy, me I tell them, my peeps, the thing rough. Now the Barnett Street Police in Montego Bay, St. James, are investigating the loss of life of an elderly man who was conned up multiple times and his body set on fire by criminal elements early Sunday morning. The deceased man has since been identified as Tony Allen of a New Road address in Cambridge, St. James. He is believed to be somewhere in his late 60s. Now, it is reported that sometime about 3 a.m., armed criminal elements armed with M16 rifles drove to a section of Railway Lane in downtown Montego Bay, St. James, and then walked into a yard along Dean's Lane where Allen was staying with his family members. Now, criminal elements, the old dirty corner boy them, reportedly cornered the elderly man who was outside in the yard and opened gunfire, hitting him several times all over his upper body and head before setting his body on fire with Molotov cocktail bombs. The gunmen escaped in a waiting Toyota Voxy minibus. Investigators from the Barnett Street Police and Freeport Police stations were called to the brutal and horrific scene. Allen's burnt body was discovered laying face down with a potent red substance leaking from it and multiple gunshot wounds all over the body, spent casings like dirt scattered all over that grisly crime scene. The scene was processed by the police and the body later removed to the morgue. So now make on the Spot News Media giving you the breakdown, the scoop into what really happened and why the elderly in his late 60s, Tony Allen life was taken in such a brutal and horrific manner. Now a big gang war, a fight at Cambridge. Now the elderly has a son who is in his late 40s. I will not call his name for various reasons. But his son has a son, which is his grandson, that is heavily involved in the criminal warfare that is going on in Cambridge, in St. James. Now, that is the reason why the criminal elements came to the home. They were actually in search of the son of the now deceased, which is the father of the son that is mixed up. I wonder if you know follow what me I say. So they came in search of the actual criminal with them a war with, father, and saw him, made after him, but he made good his escape. And his father, the elderly, the almost 70-year-old Tony Allen, was left behind. So the criminal elements used him as an example to make him grandson, the son of his son, know say yo, the war is on and things serious. But the heartbreaking thing is, the elderly Tony Allen not have nothing to do with what go on. Him don't even know what had taken place and why he lost his life. And it is really sad and heart-rending to see how barbaric some of us has become. Nobody in that crew of criminal there couldn't say, yo, low the old man, make the old man go on and daddy that. None of them couldn't say that. But their blood-thirsty selves had to take his life. My peeps, this can't catch quack or catch him shot thing is real. And as I've always stated, a lot of these parents knows what their children are into. And some turn a blind eye to it. Some collude with their children. And some even play a very active part in their children's criminal lifestyle. Now, my peeps, this gets serious and more serious as the days go by. When are we, as Jamaicans, going to stamp our ground and give the police the information about our crooked kids? What are we waiting on? For it to come and knock on our doors? I hope not. But anyway, my peeps, make we continue. Now over there in the western parish of Westmoreland, the police high command has ordered a top-level investigation into an attempt invasion, yes, an attempt invasion of the Witham police station in Westmoreland by criminal elements on Sunday night. The incident occurred sometime around 11:40 p.m. It is reported that the police personnel on duty were alerted by dogs barking on the station compound. When they went to investigate, they were confronted by two criminal elements who were heavily armed with handguns who pointed the weapons in their directions and fired at them. It is said that the officers engaged the men in a blazing gun battle. The men ran from the compound and escaped in a waiting black Voxy motor car. The police officers were not wounded. It is not known if any of the criminal elements were injured. The incident reportedly sparked panic among residents of the Witton community. Senior Superintendent of Police Wayne Joseph, head of the Westmoreland Police Division, has expressed his outrage at the invasion of his police station. So we're going to hear from Senior Superintendent of Police Wayne Joseph as he weighs in on this latest chain of incidents. Listen.
The division is currently on heightened alert. We have since beefed up the security at the Witton police station and the other stations within the parish, especially those that house prisoners. This really brings into the discussion the need for a permit offence around the Witton station. We have been in dialogue with the relevant authority, so I know it's a work in progress. But I think this incident now shows the urgency at which we need to, have this permit offence built.
That was the voice of Senior Superintendent of Police Wayne Joseph, head of the Westmoreland Police Division. So now, my peeps, just when I thought I've heard and seen it all, then came this. If our own police personnels are not safe from the clutches of these criminal elements, what says we, the regular members of Chan Public? It is full time we hold our elected officials definitely responsible for the safety and security of our nation. They need to put their feet down on these criminal elements. We need to rid our country of these criminal elements, because if the two places that we would run to for refuge from these criminal elements, namely our churches and our police stations, is not safe, then how can we even move forward as a nation? Yeah, man. So anyway, my peeps, remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned to On The Spot News Media as I continue to bring you fresh news and updates in subsequent newscasts. On The Spot News Media. Yeah, man.